Hello guys and welcome to my video. So today I'll be painting Nico Locco and talk about when to quit an art piece and start again. Now I'm quite happy about this painting, so yeah. So the process. I tried a new quote-unquote process, the same one I did with the previous video. So here's how it went down. I started with the face first because the background was about only 1/4 of the painting, so there was no reason why to paint it first. I also needed the harsh edges on the face, upper body, and hand. Lastly, the subject is lighter than the background, so it only made sense if I painted the subject first. Anyway, I start the face by using Ben Lustenhauer's technique where he paints the face in 3 parts: the forehead, the cheeks, and the mouth. So the forehead has less blood to it compared to the cheeks. With that in mind, the forehead will be a yellow flesh color. The cheeks has more blood to it compared to the forehead, so it will be a reddish flesh color. Now, the mouth area is typically more in shadow and has facial hair, so it will be a neutral flesh color. Anyway, after painting the 3 zones of the face, I use a wet on wet technique to do some soft shading. So, this is where I ran into some trouble, because the paper wasn't drying evenly, and now that's normal. I ran into some trouble when I was working on the paint when I should have just let it dry. But I overcame that hurdle. So, the shading on the face took about 5 to 6 layers of wet on wet because I wanted to have a layered look on the shadows without losing the softness of it. That's why it's wet on wet. After I was happy with the soft shadows I painted the harsh edge shadows. On the face, there was only a few areas which needed this. It was the nose, the eye, and the forehead. So after the harsh edge shadows, I painted the mouth with a rosy neutral. After painting the eye, the face was done. After the face, I did some 5-layered wet on wet technique on the neck and the upper body. Then, I painted the harsh shadows on the neck. The layers needed to be even to lessen the contrast. After the neck area, I did the ear. Now, this is interesting because I didn't use wet on wet on the ear. I used harsh shading on it and I think it worked. After that, I did the arm. Same with the neck, I used about 3 to 5 layers of wet on wet. Then the hair. Since it was dark, I went with thick paint and then used a palette knife to scratch the highlights. Lastly, the background. So with the same thick paint, I lay in the background. After it was dry, I did 2 thin washes of cadmium red on top to give interest. Now the portrait's done. So, let's talk about when to give up and start again. As I said before, I ran into some trouble when I was shading. Now this was because I was being haphazard with it. In the background, I was watching a YouTube video and painting on autopilot. I wasn't making the best decisions basically, and it made me think on quitting the painting and starting again. So here's the deal. If or when you encounter some trouble with the painting, you should just press forward and at least try to solve the issue. On this painting, I did that by doing multiple layers of wet on wet. Because if you give up the moment it gets difficult, you'll never achieve anything. So when do you give up? It's when you've made a mistake you can't come back from. Now, you really have to evaluate this because sometimes mistakes can seem huge when they really aren't. So, one way you can do this is to look at the painting with fresh eyes. Take a break usually. Sometimes that's all you need to have better tools to solve the issue. When you give up, really evaluate if the painting has no point in returning. Because if you just continue... When you give up, really evaluate if the painting has no point in returning. Because if you just continue, you'll not only be wasting your materials, but also your emotional and mental energy. So, here's the thing. Careful evaluation is key to success. It applies not only when you give up, but also when you succeed. Also, I shouldn't be painting with a YouTube video in the background because that distracts me from making good decisions on paintings. Well, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you thumbs up and subscribe. Hope you learned something new. Bye!